Okay, guys, Sam back with you here. It's Thursday, December 13th here, and we're a little behind schedule here, but there's just so much good content in here. Wanted to take my time getting it prepped for you. So here, so of course, by request amongst our members, is a request today for the Swiss to the yen. Now, there's just a lot of meat in here to consider. So now I have a 3-day chart, which I often will look to. I prefer it to the weekly myself, right? So this is just my personal preference here. But so I'm starting here. So I'm going all the way back to 2009 here, and I'm not showing you the right edge because I want to make the point here, particularly on these longer term charts like this. These very significant highs, these pivot. Let's put it this way, because it could be going the other way. The significant pivots, it's really, I want to encourage you to consider wicking these off because you'll be astonished how frequently those will come back into play. You can see it right here. Right? So you see, well, you can see here. So this pivot here, prior resistance becomes the support here, and you're going to see it repeatedly as we work through it. Now, you look at this with your Elliott hat on, and you go, what the? Could we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah, I guess technically you could. The 2 doesn't overlap the 1. The proposed 4 doesn't overlap 2. It'd be the ugliest diagonal you'd ever seen, but it is there. Sometimes when it's that bizarre, the first thing that I see here, so just standard ops, you'd go, oh well, here's my low, here's my high. I look here and I go, well, so technically, yeah, we hold the 887. But look here, we go right to the negative 100, almost to the tick. Now, so when I see that, and I don't have clear Elliott count, interestingly, we come down to tag the 786 again. But when I see that, immediately when I see this, and I see to get the 100 here, that has me thinking wolf range. So I'm changing the template here to the wolf range, so which just range expansion. There's nothing, just named after the guy who taught it to me. So we're taking this range here from this low to this high. All right, now note what we get here. All right, so now I'm thinking wolf range. So this is perfect range expansion. So not trying to get an Elliott count on this just yet, just noting how the geometry of the market and how it's responding. So if we go this way here, so here's the 50, right? You get the idea. Here's the range, here's the doubling of the range, and then each of the blues, that's half of the range. Well, when I see that, when we get the perfect tag here at the 100, then the next thing I want to do is see if this is going to continue. So now I put the range here. So this is the new range. This is the 50. Now, as we come over here, this would be, so here's the new range. Here's the new negative 100 on the idea that this range expansion is going to continue. So first 100 is hit, then you move it to that 100. Get it right on there. Get on there. There it is. Okay, so we're a little shy here, at least so far. So are these potentially coming back into play? Well, you might be surprised how often those will come back into play. Look, as we tag it right here to the tick. So now note here, look how many times those pivots, right? We're on a 3-day chart, and you think, oh, shit, man, that's not going to matter. Right, tag this one to the tick here. Got this pivot here, right? So because I had that wicked off earlier, you see that? That's this pivot right here, here. You're like, man, those are pivots from, those are 7-year-old pivots. How can they possibly have any influence in the market? Exactly. How can they possibly? Well, if this is our range expansion and we're short here, reasonable. It doesn't mean we couldn't get back up there. But now I can look here and say, okay, what the hell? Do I have an Elliott count here? So could I make a case for this? Now I'm taking that off just to clean this up for the educational purposes. Could I make a case here that could I have 1, 2, 3? Is that possible? Well, it would be one of the uglier. So look at what just for fun, it would look like this. So you'd have to have 3, 4, 5 as your leading diagonal. So talk about an ugly diagonal, but extension in the 5th. I mean, it's possible. It sure is ugly, but it's possible that this is a 1, 2. Well, if you were thinking that way, I say, oh, okay. Well, if this is the 1, now I got to change my template. Oh shit! Sorry, guys. Here, let's try again. So there's the 1. God, What is my problem? There it is. Okay, so let's get, here's the template I want. Go back to a measured move. Okay, so this is a 1. Well, we've gone deep for the 2. Could I make this case that this is 1, 2, 3? Well, you know, that's a you know, we're on a 3-day. It's a bit of a struggle. So 1, 2, 3, 4 looks like, you know, boy, that's, again, you're gonna have to go to a much lower time frame, but you can probably get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of that, or either that or we have a truncated 5th. But considering what follows, I think that that's less likely. All right, if this is a 2 and that's a 3, how do we do here? Let's check it. All right, we'd look for the length of the third. What do? Right, so not only do we come in and we tag this prior pivot swing high here, right? That from 2007, we tag it in 2016. Is that what keeps you from getting to the 618? Right? If you were sitting here, so here's what happens to most people trading forex. You know, they're down on the 1 hour, and they'll never see that, because they won't think long term, right? That's the average FX trader. They won't know that's there, so they'll be down here going, why did it stop there? Well, certainly we could make the case that it's from the 618, right? If this is 2, 3, 4, well, so could we have a diagonal? So that means we've got a leading diagonal, A, B, C into a 2. Maybe this is a very, very shallow C, A, B, C, maybe. Maybe it's a diagonal. So there's no, I can't eliminate it as a possibility just yet. So if we're going to count this way, if that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 still yet to come. So let's get that up in a higher degree. Let's go up big here. So 1, 2, 3. So obviously it's a diagonal. Right? We overlap here. So leading diagonal A, B, C. Boy, that's, you know, it's a bit of a stretch, but it's, you know, it's technical. A, B, C, down we come. We hold the 618, so this is technical. So this swing low here, this 2012 low to this 15 high. So there's a 3-year swing, 3-year move. Comes right to the 618. So what if that's 3, 4, 5? Well, so 5 is going to be potentially, right? So we'd be looking for a new high there. So this is held. Could we have it? So if this is the 4, well then potentially now all we're doing is putting in the 1 wave. So maybe we've got a leading diagonal here is the way I'm counting it currently. So maybe we've got a leading diagonal of a 1 wave of the 5th wave. So let's think about it. So first thing, you got to look at this and go, wow, boy, it's tried multiple times here. Here we failed here. Why is it stopping there? Well, anyone want to guess? So we got 2 pivots to choose from. So I'd start with the all the way. Not quite there. How about the B wave? All right, so now we know why it's stopping there. Right, 50, 50, 50. 1, 2, 3 times we've tagged the 50. So we don't have to wonder why that's stopping there. We know why that's stopping there. We know that's an algorithm starting to sell there, right? Just as we would with any one of these pivots. We know. Now, how do we confirm? We confirm if it hits this, right? One of 2 things happen. Either they get this target or we break this 65. Well, of course, we'd have to get through 2 of them technically. We'd have to get through this one as well. Right? Because when the first one breaks, you got to go back to the dominant, right? So we'd have to get through this 65 to confirm here that we've had a trend change, right, from this swing down. So all of this looks like we're still underway here, but we got to confirm to know that we're going to go 3, 4, 5. Well, obviously we got to get on the other side of this 65. So at least we can look at this and make sense of why it keeps stopping here. This is to the top. Why do we keep stopping here? So let's look at the count. Could we have a 1, 2, ABC into a 3, ABC into a 4? Well, let's look at it, see how it looks. So now I'm going to go from the 3-day to the daily. All right, get a better look in here. So 1, 2, ABC, 3, A, B, C of the B for the double. Now, you see, you look at that and you think, oh, well, couldn't that be the 5? Well, yeah, it could. It could. But it doesn't fit as well because this looks like 3. So this looks like, so A, B, C of the B. So it looks like we go A. Well, actually, we could have done it 2 ways, right? So this is long enough term. We could have gone A, B, C of the A. Although it looks like that's got 5 in it. So actually, I think that's better here. Now, again, I'm on a daily. It looks like I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the A, then A, B, C. So we get a flat here. So we get a 3, 3, 5 into the B. So we get this double top B. Right? So technically not an expanded B because it looks like it's a clear double top. It's within a couple of ticks. So down we come. So we look here and say, well, is that technical? We know from our Elliott training that if I'm looking at a diagonal, I'm looking for something technical between the start of the 1, and the pivot of the 3rd. What do? The identical thing that we did here. A couple of ticks in front of the 618 and a prior pivot swing from way, way, way back years ago. Prior pivot swing, right, comes into play, right? Tags it. Off we go. So you look and you think, okay, could this be 1, 2, 3, 4? Well, maybe it's a truncated 5th, right? It's just one more attempt to get through that 50 that's rejected. I mean, that's a pretty stiff rejection. So it's certainly possible. So you actually have two counts here. This could be, I'm going to correct myself mid-flight. This could be the B here. All right, I'm readjusting on the fly here. It looks like it'd be here. So we could have just a double top here. So actually, I may lean into this a little more. So this one of these two is completed here. So we've got a double top. So it's a function of, well, what's following here? So if this is the 1 and this is the 2, then we have a contender here for the 1, 2 of the 3rd of the 5th. So let's get that down. Oh, let's go down here. We can do subminuet. Okay, so potentially now you could have either, although I don't like this better here. So this would be failure to make the algo target. Right, that's one possibility here, that this is coming off of the 38. Maybe it's here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, possibly. So if that's the double top here, so you have a couple of different scenarios here. Either this is the 5 or the 5 is still yet to come, and we're going to get something like this. Hard to say right now. So if you look at this and say swing low, dominant swing low to swing high, coming to the 618, certainly characteristic of a 2. In fact, more characteristic of a 2 than a 4. So thus the change on the fly from when I first looked at this. So double top into the 5 is certainly not uncommon. It's actually slightly, looks like it's a couple of ticks truncated. Then so here's where it gets a little more problematic. Let's go down to the 4 hour. So what do we have coming down? This is why I was leaning into it initially as the A wave coming down. So pretty tough to get 3 out of that. It's a straight shot. So even this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even that looks, so if we're coming here, could we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Looks like we could for a diagonal. Let's check that length. So if this is our 1, 2, yeah, we're clear there. So 1, 2, 7, 2 here, A, B, C for the 4. So it's a diagonal, right? A, B, C for the diagonal, A, B, C for the 2. Right, it's a little, yeah, I feel you guys. It's a little bit of a stretch there. You'd have to go A, B, C. So could we break? We can. I'm sure I'm on a 4 hour. If I went down to a 30-minute, we can get a 1 wave there. 1, 2, A, B, C in the 3rd, A, B, C in the 5. So I'm preferring that count actually here. So if this is the 1 here, and now all we've done is just put in a leading diagonal of the second one. So you've got back to back. So you've got 1, 2, 1, 2. So if this is done, we can certainly make a case for a completed leading diagonal. Now we're deep here. We know a 2 can go deeper than that. Ideally, you'd want to see that hold the 6, 5, but we don't. Right, so it makes you think more likely something like this is underway. It's a real stretch to try and get an ABC out of that. So it looks like there could be more complexity in that B. So even if I go to the hourly, I don't think you can get a clean ABC out of that. It's a real stretch. This just seems much more likely. So coming here looks like you're finishing with a diagonal. Even here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this could be the 4. So it looks like you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Actually, this looks like the 5. So this could be 3, 4. Actually, you'd have to do it this way. So it looks like you've got a little expanded flat. So it looks like you go A, B, C. So that's what if I just first glance here, it looks like you go A, B, C, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish. So looks like a little expanded flat here. So 3, 3, 5 on that C. So this coming down, so you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish the A wave, much more likely than trying to dig an ABC out of that. So coming here, now we could go 1, 2, we could go A, B, C. Well, let's see. We do it so we have the A wave. We'd have to go A, B, C for the B wave. Triangle. Let's see. Where would we can't have a triangle in the second? So it looks more like we've got. It actually looks like a leading diagonal. So let's think about that. How are we going to get? So this could be 1, 2, 3, 4. So it could be this. We could have A this way. So we could have A, B, C of the B. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That actually works. Okay, so that could play. So there's the B, there's the C. So I don't know if you can see what I just did there. So this little A, B, C. So this is our pivot. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the A wave here. So I've got a leading diagonal in my A wave here. A, B, C in the B, and then it's close, but we can go 1, 2, 3, 4. So looking at that, if that is a very deep 2. I'm a little suspect of it, but so slight front run on the 50, likely. So you've got this, right? Remember, always you wick these off. So here, that would have been the support. You've also got this here. Looks like that's what tags it. Hard to say. Could be one, but this is the one that sticks out. So down to the 50. So if that's A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, there should be one more push up here to try and get this. So if that's the B there, let's put that in. Let's go to micro there. So A, so let's think about where that would put the B in the context of this pivot. So if we're coming from this, remember there's an algo on the other side. Always will be an algo on the other side. So here's the 50 that it's just, we've yet, well, so this potentially challenging that, right? Haven't gotten through yet. So this is a reasonable target. Looks like you could have some median lines on this. So is it here? Oh, Jesus. So this 80% is already tagged. All right, so here, so just out of curiosity, I'm down here on an hourly. Is that a golden? Let's check it. So from this pivot, nope, broke it. So so you're interesting. So you're at the 618 of the larger degree here. Remember we broke that. So we come back, bang the 65, or the 618 here. It looks like it's a couple of ticks in front of it. Let's get right on there. Okay, so here's the pivot, right? There's the 80% realized. So I think I've got my A wave down here for the B, and this looks like it's, so could this, trading view, my favorite feature. This looks pretty interesting right here. So if this is going to go A, B, and we're going to get a bigger run on the B, well, where's the C? Right down here. So if that continues to go. Now, if we remember with median lines, these are leading indicators. So if we get out of time, then you might have to go to a modifier. So you might take that and move to modified shift, which will be the equivalent of a channel, right? I've shown this many times. So if we put a channel on those pivots, right, it's the same as a modified shift. So A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this area here going to be of interest. Coming back for the B, sets up the B to the C, which would put us right at the 50 of the larger degree, right in front of the target. So there you go. There's your roadmap. Right? That's the area of interest. So there's the opportunity to sell, looking for that, and the opportunity to buy, looking for the big one going up. So there you go. Let's pull back out here to let's go to an 8-hour. Okay, where would that put us? If this is, yeah, I got this screwed up here. When I moved it, my favorite trading view feature. For all those times when I want to grab a complete 5-wave count and move it around. Trading view, if you're listening. Not that they would be. But so here we go. 1, if this is done, here's the 2. This could easily be just the 1, A, B, C. So think about where that would put us. Okay, so here's our count. Okay, if this is correctly identified as the 1, and we've come down here, and we're in the process of putting it, so if this is 1, A, B, C, so we still have to resolve this because we've come down here. We can't get a great looking, you'd have to go A, B, C. So you'd have to do it this way. It's a little harder to see on these higher time frames here. So that's where going to a lower count is certainly an option, and not to discourage that. I'm just saying don't make your trading decision without checking the larger count so you know where you are. So you'd have to go A, B, C, because I think it's less likely that this is A, B, and then we're going into the C, although it's a possibility because we stay internal here. So we could have A, B, C of the B. That's a possibility, right? So that's, how do you know? Well, you don't know until you get confirmation. So if this is coming down as A, B, let's bring this over. So we'd be trading this. This is A, well, so you'd have to do it this way. So you'd have to trade it this way. If this is A, or pardon me, if that's 1, yeah, let's do it this way. If this is 1, A, B, C of the 2 before you go for the 3. That's what I was trying to create there. So here's the 1, A, B, C of the 2. So we get a leading diagonal of the 1. It does not look like that's finished yet, so you'd have to go A, B, C. So as relates here, we're going deep for the 2 to get it. Now, nothing says we have to go down here. So nothing says we have to do that we go from, if I've got this correctly identified, we don't have to do that. I mean, you could have a truncation. You won't know until you see it start here and what kind of shape it takes. But we can't take out this, because if that's the 2, we can't have this, take that out. Otherwise, this analysis is incorrect. And then we'd have to reconsider, right? Remember, initially we were thinking that this was the 3 and this was the 5. So if it does that, then we know the original count was the one that ends up getting it. So this is the 5 and this is the 3. If this comes down, we take out this pivot. That's the only other way you could count that. So this would have to be 3, 4. So you got a couple of possibilities here. This is, if you prefer to be trading where there aren't 2 possible outcomes, this may not be the right chart for you, or at least the right count for it, because it looks to me like it's almost impossible to know which is which here. How do you qualify? You don't, because you've just got diagonals. You can't get an impulse to get your bearings on where you are. There is no impulse here. So we've just got a lot of ABCs, a lot of diagonals, and then here this potential that could finish us in the 5, or it could be our 1 because it's a diagonal. So it could be the 5th, could be the 1st. No way to know. So safer play, wait and see what happens here. Do we come up and get a pivot and come down one more time, right? Then you could be a little more confident than likely that you've at least got this part of it identified correctly. Now, as to whether or not this is the 5 or the 1, well, think about it. If this is the 5 here, we'd want to see it at least come to the 50. So A, B, C. So that could still be this way. The 1 could still be here. And this was the 4, a deep 4. So creating another diagonal, a deep 4, and up we're going for the 5. So then you'd stick with the A, B, C, and then you'd have to go A, B, C of the B, and then come down for the 4, up for the 5. That's possible. So actually, this is a bit of a challenge here because you can't confirm one over the other. So I understand why members wanted to see this. That's kind of a conundrum. So so what do you do? It doesn't mean you couldn't trade it. I would just not be giving it a lot of room. So how would we disqualify here? So if you wanted to take the 618, you could do it this way. So I'd be a little tighter on the stop. So I wouldn't give that any more than the 786. I'd go after that second target down here. So there's 4 to 1. 4 to 1. You might keep the size lower, smaller, right? Because there's a lack of clarity here, a lack of conviction into exactly where's the 5, where's the 1. But that's certainly technically a valid trade. If you got that, well, then you'd have a better idea depending on what kind of form does this take. So let's get that off of there. So if that is, either way, this 50 is going to be significant because whether this is the 5 or this is the 5, we're still looking for, well, really, we're looking for the 50 to the 618 as the next buy side opportunity. Whether this is the 5 or this is the 5, it actually doesn't matter. The buy side is easier to manage. So if you're a buyer at the 50 at this algo target, and, oops, got that backwards. Let's get my long position. So if you're a buyer here, you got some big fat targets up here. So you don't need to give it that much. So you could actually give it just below that pivot because that would invalidate. This can't be the 2 then. If this is 1, can't have the 2 break out that 2. So then you would know if it breaks that, then more likely this is the 4, 5. So you have that working for you, so that you could use that as the invalidation point. So then you've got, and that's just assuming that we're only going to the first algo target when we know the big one will be up here. Whoops. So if we're, oh shit, there it is. Okay, so up here, now you've got 7.8 to 1. Might take a while to get there. Might be some very dull trading, but certainly the potential to be profitable trading, right? That's the name of the game, right? Right? Not about excitement, it's about profitability, right? So something like this could play rather nicely. Now we got to watch that pivot, right? So if it goes down that low, so you'd really want to see it pivot more like here, something like that, right? And I'm hypothetical here. I don't have this pivot to draw from, but something like that, maybe, right? This is the pivot. That's the invalidation point, which takes me all the way back to where I started. So look where the invalidation point is of a count we're struggling to get here. It's tied to this yellow dashed line, which goes all the way back to this crazy wick. Right? That little wick in 2009 is now the invalidation point for this count 9 years later. Something to think about. All right, guys, that's probably as much as I can offer there. This is going to be tricky. So if you come out of this and like, fuck, 5 here, 5 there, well, of course, the obvious option is, well, don't trade it until there's more clarity because you got 2 possible outcomes here. The other is tee it up, get a stop on it, and don't sweat it, right? If you get stopped out, well, just thank you. So okay, stop's doing its job. Certainly, you don't want to be in here without a stop. Well, just the obvious. Right? So there's a couple of opportunities here. So if you're wrong on one, right, so you're less likely to be wrong on 2 in a row because if you're wrong on the first one, then you get more clarity on what's to come. Right? Doesn't mean you couldn't be wrong 2 in a row. Just means you're reducing one possible scenario. Okay, guys. All right. With that, I will wrap. I went long today. I didn't mean to go that long, but somehow I did. All right. There was a lot to dig through there. So I'll wrap there just to try and remind you guys, if you want to learn more about this, you can always give us a visit. Twitter's a good place to find us. There's links underneath this if you're interested in this kind of technical analysis and developing your skill set. Right? You can learn more about that on our website at tradedevils.com. All right, guys. See you later.